New school year, new routines, and somehow your calendar is already full. When life gets hectic, Caulipower's got your back. We make the food you crave made better for you, like thin and crispy cauliflower crust pizzas, all-natural chicken tenders, and nostalgic pizza snacks. Ready in minutes in something the whole family can agree on. Caulipower is available in freezer aisles nationwide. Visit eatcaulipower.com to find a store near you.
Hello and welcome back to Spooky Lil Bitch. If this is your first time here, welcome! My name is Lucy. I am one half of the Wine and Crime Gals. And if you're a fan of that show, you yourself might be a spooky little bitch, and this show just might feel like a warm hug. So come join us on Uncorked for more episodes like this, plus Amanda gives advice on her show, A Mansplaining. We do monthly drunk dives, interactive live-streamed happy hours. There's exclusive merch. Just a lot of really fun bonus content that you just can't get on our regular feed. So you can head to our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com, and click on Uncorked at the top of your screen to learn more about how to join. Okay, I know that lately I have been saying how jealous I am of people's jobs quite a lot on this show, and it's not going to stop today. About a month ago, I was on Instagram, and mind you, my feed is primarily dead stuff and science stuff and like cats with special needs. I saw a post from Ologies, love Ologies, that had tagged a person wearing their merch. This person had a tattoo of a deer jawbone, and their handle was Dead Pet Vet. Could not click on their profile fast enough. She was super chill about me sliding into her DMs. I'm hoping she wants to become friends. She is a veterinary pathologist at the fucking Smithsonian National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute. Her name is Dr. Tocco. What have I done in this life to deserve this? If I could, I would clone her and then keep her clone hostage and just ask it questions all day long, because that makes it ethical. But also, we will get to the cloning. So joining me today is Dr. Natalie Tocco. Welcome, Dr. Tocco, to Spooky Lil Bitch.
Thank you. This is exciting.
Natalie just confirmed the pronunciation of her last name with me, and I can't stop smiling. I wish my last name was Tocco. You're so lucky.
Thank you.
All right, Natalie, tell the folks who you are, what you do. You have the coolest job.
As introduced, my name is Dr. Natalie Tocco. I am a board-certified veterinary pathologist, and I currently am a fellow for Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute.
Oh, my God. Okay, so walk me through it. Do you care for sick animals, or do you sort of only cut them open and see why they died?
I have only been really cutting open and seeing how they died since I finished my residency in 2023. The most I deal with the living is when the clinical team upstairs has an animal in hospital and they tell me about it, and thus I get to go lurk and take a break from my desk and go see what animal is upstairs, especially anything with big old toe beans that I occasionally get to touch, which is the only time I get to, because otherwise that animal would definitely take me out of my life.
Yeah, make sure they're all gassed up.
Oh, they are sleepy on the good stuff, and the clinical team is very good at making sure they are well deep into that sleep.
Oh my God. Okay, so I know that your zoo currently has some baby red pandas.
Yes.
Have you gotten to cuddle them yet?
No, and actually we try to make sure we don't do that, especially with that species.
I know.
And I know, they are absolutely precious. Like, when we found out about them, I was like, oh my God, yes, babies. And they're actually not even here at our zoo campus. So we are on currently the NZP, National Zoological Park side. Conservation Biology Institute is our other campus in Front Royal, Virginia, where we have a lot of those breeding animals like red pandas. I actually have not even seen the baby because I'm I'm like an hour and a half away. I'm up in DC. They're down in Front Royal, but they're being extra taken good care of by our amazing carnivore team down there. We have such a great team of people who work with those animals, and that campus is not open to the public either, so it's very limited for the sake of the animals and keeping them well and helping that genetic diversity continue throughout our zoo populations within North America.
First of all, smart. We should not let our enthusiasm for cuddly baby animals impede the survival of their species. The National Zoological Park, or the NZP that Natalie referenced, is the National Zoo. It's part of a group of museums and learning centers under the umbrella of the Smithsonian Institution, which was created by the U.S. federal government in 1846, quote, for the increase and diffusion of knowledge. It's named after its British founder, James Smithson, who was really into learning about all kinds of stuff, from minerals to chemicals to fossils, did a lot of traveling, very cool guy. After his death, and with no heirs, Smithson's fortune, as well as like all of his science-y notes, his whole library, all that stuff, were bequeathed to the United States per his wishes in order to establish the Smithsonian Institution. The zoo in DC is incredible. They have over 2,000 animals representing almost 400 different species. It's federally funded, so it's free to go. But if you're not in the area, you can still get in on the action because they have webcams. Mere moments ago, I was watching a naked mole rat clean up its little corner of its habitat and then curl up behind a lettuce leaf and go to sleep. I'm not kidding. They also have webcams for the lions, the giant pandas, and elephants, and they sometimes have specialty cams, for example, during baby cheetah season. So next time you're feeling blue, go to nationalzoo.si.edu and watch some pandas tumble around for a few minutes. I promise it will release some endorphins. I feel like all vets, at least in my mind, have like a cute story about like how you got into vet medicine. Like, oh, I had a kitten when I was growing up or whatever. Do you have like a cutesy story of how you got into veterinary medicine?
Not so much as one story, as much of it, I would say, a series of my growing up that led me down this way. Mind you, the type of vet I wanted to be when I learned I wanted to be a vet versus what I am now is so totally different.
Yeah.
I think childhood Natalie would absolutely pass out of joy and confusion. I grew up in Rhode Island, and I was born and raised with cats my whole life. And my uncle, when he was living in Rhode Island, had a small farm in Coventry that I'd ride horses with my cousin. He and my uncle and my dad raised a couple of beef cows together from one of the local farms in Rhode Island. And there was chickens and dogs, of course, the barn cats. So I think I wanted to be a vet very early in my life. Like, I knew I at least wanted to work with animals, and I think most people only think about going to vet med. And then when I was like 14, I read, and this is going to sound so cliche, and I know that, but I read All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot at like 14 years old.
Oh, nice.
And the vision I had of myself becoming a veterinarian was like James Herriot, driving around, especially like in my home state of Rhode Island with a little van and just drive around to people's farms. So that was my vision of myself as a vet, and I maintained that until I had gone to University of Vermont for my undergrad with the intention of going to vet school. UVM's animal science program, their pre-vet side, had like a pretty high acceptance rate into vet school, actually. So I left Rhode Island, went to Vermont, loved it, and a lot of the reasons why I liked the farm vet side of things was the population medicine side. And then as I learned more about like zoonotic diseases and One Health, I kind of stayed on that until I got into vet school, and I went to Canada for vet school. Actually, I went to Prince Edward Island, Canada at the Atlantic Veterinary College. That's where things started to change a little bit as I started taking my classes. I had my first pathology course in the second half of my first year, and I got really interested in it. And that's when you start to do the necropsies or autopsies depending upon what words you use, they can be interchangeable. You get to start doing more of that hands-on stuff with the autopsy of these animals. And I'm like, this is actually really interesting. And it's very much solving, like most of vet med is solving a puzzle, but this was a very in-depth way of solving a puzzle. And pathology is very important in the large animal side of things and the wildlife side of things. And then that summer after my first year, I actually got bit in the face by a dog. So I actually have a scar here from that, and that turned me off from small animal medicine in general, and just the culture of it as well. And for those of my colleagues who are still in it, I love you, bless you for dealing with that, because I can't anymore. And then I started getting more and more into pathology as I talked to more of my pathology professors and bonded with them. They invited me down to go down to the lab more often, especially in the afternoons where they usually had cases. And I started to really get into pathology and enjoying the scientific side and the puzzle making side and the wide variety side of things. So how the journey of me becoming where I am now, it may have started with Natalie as a kid becoming a veterinarian, but the evolution has greatly catapulted. And then I look back at my life and I joke with my dad because I grew up duck hunting with him and I still do. And he would always say I was unfazed as a 5-year-old watching him cut open a dead duck. and now we look at where I am now and he's like, we should have seen it. I'm like, Dad, you and I did not know what pathology was back then, but sure. But at the same time, it's kind of comical because so many people ask me, like, do you not get sad? I'm like, honestly, I can. Like, there are some cases, especially here, because of how personal some of these animals are to keepers, curators, and everything. But overall, I see it more from a scientific point of view. So I try to reserve the feelings overall outside of it.
Okay. So you specialize in the large animals.
Technically everything. So pathology, depending upon how you approach it. So pathology is just the study of disease processes, basically. And there are some people who only specialize in specific species. There are some people who only specialize in specific organs. There are people who really love brains, and I applaud them because nervous system is so hard, as I'm dealing with a very difficult case right now that I might need to ask for a consult. But overall, when you're in pathology and in vet med in general, you learn, at least across the board, the major domestic species. Like when I was in vet school, when it came to majority of the pathology cases, you learn within your classes. You learn dog, cat, horse, goat, sheep, pig, the big ones. And then if you're really interested, like I started looking for other alternative ways of getting more experience in other species, especially in my clinical year. So I did a whole poultry rotation actually to get more handle on birds. I got involved with our university veterinarian during my vet school days for a rotation on lab animal medicine, because that's even its own subspecialty now. And then one of my mentors, so within the Atlantic Veterinary College, there is the Canadian Wildlife Health Cooperative. It's across Canada, but there's different regional offices, and my mentor was the director. So I actually got to do a lot of wildlife with her at that time as well, because they were servicing all of the Maritimes and Newfoundland, Canada. I got to do leatherback sea turtle necropsies with her because I was on the emails of like, hey, we're getting 1,000-pounder that washed up on shore frozen in January.
Cool.
Who's in?
Yeah.
And I was on the emails for whales. I didn't get to do a whale because for some reason it was politics of if it's washed up someone's private property, they may not want to put the trucks on. So they're like, Natalie, we're so sorry. We have to boot you and everyone else. And I'm like, that's fine. It's fine. I'm going to cry about it, but it's fine.
I was on the emails for whales. What is this like? And how do I get on that listserv? But really, so-called whale wash-up can be an enormous problem for seaside municipalities. In September 2018, a dead 30-foot humpback whale washed ashore on the coast of Cohasset, Massachusetts. Officials decided the best thing to do was to tow it back out to sea, and theoretically, it would float away and it wouldn't be their problem anymore. But that's not what happened. It washed back ashore in the nearby town of Revere, and by then, the whale was so decomposed that they couldn't even really remove it from the beach, so they had to bury it there on a city beach. And of course, all of this was expensive, and there was much finger pointing. Turns out there aren't many good ways to dispose of a whale carcass. But if one washes up on your private property, it's your problem. Just make sure you call and get a necropsy first. Better yet, just email me. Today's episode is brought to you by Fabletics. When you live in activewear, like we do.
Yeah, it looks down at self. Hi.
You really can never have enough of it, but the good stuff usually costs a fortune. Yeah, truer words.
Yeah.
And that is why we are in love with Fabletics. I get pieces that feel premium and perform like those expensive brands without that crazy price tag.
I'm obsessed. I have like this really cute tank top with a built-in bra. I have these phenomenal like hunter green leggings.
The fleece lined.
I didn't get the fleece lined ones because I got one of the like cozy zip up fleece jackets.
I got the fleece lined. Trust me. But
I got to actually try out the leggings at a yoga class because I legitimately do go to yoga. And girl, they held up. Like, no, they weren't pulling or drooping anywhere when I was like in downward facing dog. I was twisted around like a pretzel, as pretzely as I am capable of getting. And it was all, I felt like so held, but I had so much freedom of movement. It was great for sweating in. I was truly like blown away by the quality of these pieces. And becoming a Fabletics VIP is so simple. When you sign up as a new VIP, first of all, when I signed up, I got 80% off of everything, baby. And after that, the membership is about $60 a month unless you skip. So like if you have a month where you just like do not need something, skip it, baby. That monthly fee gives me exclusive membership benefits, including a credit that I can use toward a full outfit or bundle up to $100. On the first of every month, they send me an email and I just decide if I want to purchase a member credit or skip the month. And the cool part is that the member credit is not just for me. I can use it to grab something for Bill, my husband. You could use it to get a gift for a friend. Like it's a really versatile little membership. The quality, like I said, really blew me away. These pieces feel like the kind of super high-end activewear that you would pay like hundreds of dollars for. But here I am wearing it at that level of quality at a fraction of the price. And that just really makes the membership feel like it pays for itself. And like that fit, the feel, everything is, the textures are so beautiful. Like you're not getting waistbands rolling down. You're getting joggers that actually keep their shape. They're not like falling apart in the wash. These jackets, I love my fleece jacket. It's super warm without being like massively bulky. Like I could put that jacket on under my winter coat when the weather really starts to change. It just solves a lot of the typical issues that I've had with activewear, especially like the rolling down leggings. That is my worst nightmare. But it's still this like really soft, breathable, and durable fabric. So if you're working out in it, you're traveling in it, or you're just doing your daily activities in it, it's going to hold up absolutely beautifully.
Treat yourself to gear that looks good, feels good, and doesn't break the bank with Fabletics. Go to fabletics.com/gals and sign up as a VIP to get 80% off everything. That's fabletics.com/gals to sign up as a VIP and get 80% off everything. That's fabletics.com/gals.
Hello, people. Does your freezer look like a stinking crime scene of forgotten leftovers? Yeah, mine sure did. I would put so many things in the freezer thinking, yes, I'm definitely going to thaw that. I'm definitely going to cook that. I'm definitely going to eat that. And guess what? I didn't, because I don't actually like want those weird frozen leftovers. I want the good stuff, the fresh stuff. I'm happy to use my freezer, but I want to use it for the good things. Okay? And that is why you need ButcherBox, because ButcherBox delivers top quality, responsibly sourced proteins right to your door. You're not getting any mystery meat. You're not getting any sketchy sourcing. You're just getting better options at your fingertips. You're going to use that freezer more. I'm telling you right now.
ButcherBox delivers over 100 premium protein choices straight to your door, including 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood. You can feel really good about where these meats are coming from. For nearly a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and independently verified. Every product meets the same rigorous standards, whether it's filet mignon or chicken nuggets.
Yum.
Because yes, they have chicken nuggets, and I love them for it.
They're so good.
They're were remarkably good.
Yeah.
So whether you're feeding a growing family or just trying to eat clean without the stress, ButcherBox offers curated or fully customizable plans that fit your schedule and your preferences. I've been on a big old seafood kick lately.
Mm-hmm.
We made some seafood chowder not too long ago, and I used my ButcherBox product.
I ordered another rack of those pork ribs.
They're so good.
I'm saving them for the holidays, but I'm like, I'm drooling.
I'm thinking about it.
I'm always thinking about
I know
those pork
exactly
ribs.
where that rack is.
Yeah, you do.
And as a certified B Corp, ButcherBox is committed to high standards from how the animals are raised to how their team supports workers and reduces environmental impact. They really are start to finish. They've thought things through, and you can feel good about them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, every box ships free always and includes member-only perks like recipe inspo, tips, exclusive deals to help you make the most of every meal. Think of ButcherBox as like your support team for your kitchen.
Yeah, your meat guru. They're gonna send it to you. They're gonna teach you how to cook it. Like they do everything but cook it. You're in great hands. And as an exclusive offer, our listeners can get free protein in every box for a year, plus $20 off your first box when you go to butcherbox.com/gals. Go to butcherbox.com/gals to get this limited time offer and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/gals. And don't forget to use our link so they'll know we sent you. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. As kids get older, some parts of parenting get easier. Like you finally have real conversations. They can grab their own snacks. They might even clean up after themselves a little bit on a good day. But some things never really get easier, like teaching them about money. Y'all, it's hard. And the truth is, kids won't truly learn how to manage money until they get a little hands-on experience. And that is where Greenlight comes in.
I am so excited for June to be old enough to use Greenlight because it is such a smart product.
Mm-hmm.
Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families. Parents can send money to their kids and also keep an eye on kids' spending and savings, while kids and teens build money confidence and lifelong financial literacy skills. If we had this when I was growing up,
girl.
I'd probably be a lot better with money today.
100%.
With the Greenlight app, kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely thanks to games that teach money skills in a fun, accessible way. They have gamified financial literacy.
I'm like, should my husband get this for me?
Would make a great holiday gift.
Yeah.
The Greenlight app also includes a chores feature where you can set up one-time or recurring chores customized to your family's needs and reward kids with allowance for a job well done.
I love that.
If I could have just been like delivered a few bucks for taking out the trash, trust me,
I would have done it a lot more.
It would have happened a lot more frequently.
For real.
Millions of parents and kids are learning about money on Greenlight. It is the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and for families to navigate life together.
I'm so excited for Junie to like start collecting her first little allowance and getting her chore wheel set up. She gets little rewards. You get $1 here, $1 there. I'll contribute. Are you kidding?
I mean, I kind of have a little bit of nostalgia for like, the piggy bank, but also this is just smarter. It
just
2025.
teaches you better. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Greenlight is the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and families to navigate life together. Maybe that's why millions of parents trust and kids love learning about money on Greenlight, the #1 family finance and safety app. Don't wait to teach your kids real-world money skills. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/gals. That's greenlight.com/gals to get started. greenlight.com/gals.
But then I did my residency at University of Connecticut Veterinary Medical Diagnostic Lab. Services basically all of New England.
Wow.
So I saw everything pretty much. Mostly domestics, but I was the black bear magnet during my time. And
Cool.
I was the West Nile virus bird magnet at that time too. I just got all the raptors and corvids that just were. I got too good at calling it, and I'm like, I hate that I called that.
Yeah.
And then people's private pets. We had a couple zoos, and my mentor when I was at UConn, Dr. Sal Frasca, he at the time before he retired was the aquatics guy. So he was getting aquarium animals from across the country, like Monterey Bay Aquarium and Aquarium of the Bay in San Francisco, in California, were sending us fish already pre-cut open, formalin fixed, sent to us to diagnose. So it's been a happening of circumstances of where I've been very fortunate to get more experience beyond the normal species, both from my own willpower of finding those experiences, but also just a circumstance of where I was for vet school, because not everyone gets the opportunity to have a huge wildlife organization at their vet school. And then my residency being at UConn just got everything. When you're in pathology, you see just about everything. And then if you really have the willpower and the pursuit of knowledge, you really do learn. And that's what me coming here actually was very helpful, of me getting more into that zoo and wildlife species, because that's where my interest started to go forward in, due to my circumstances of being exposed to it while in vet school and then in my residency as well.
It's crazy how you can even train to bounce between like a songbird and a grizzly bear or a black bear. The variety is just such that it's amazing that you can just have that much knowledge of all these different animal systems at least from my uneducated perspective, seem so dramatically different. And like fish, the hell? Do fish even have blood? Well, yeah, I guess they do.
They do. It's not them you have to worry about. It's the invertebrates you have to worry about in reality. That's still growing in the pathology field. There's so few of us that do invertebrate stuff. I've done like octopus and some gastropod stuff, but then you have people who are willing to do like tarantulas and bees, and I'm like, I'm not even done. No, I need backup, but this is also where you should always have a reference, because there are still so much variation within the different species. Even like birds are so highly variable, and I've learned that here, especially just the anatomy in general and how you approach certain animals versus not. Like one of the main things we do before we actually cut open the animal is do a physical exam, basically like you would on a live animal, to get a handle of, is there anything external that's obvious, and what's the overall condition of the animal. I learned you cannot, with birds, you got a body condition score using like their breastbone, their keel. So the muscle should cover the keel. And if it's the keel's pointing out, there's some muscle wasting there. Except if you're dealing with like emus and ostriches and kiwis who do not have the same, and you go based on their leg muscle. And I'm like,
God,
I would not have known that until I came here. So and that's why there's so many people who don't want to tackle that per se, because it can honestly be very daunting. But it's a lot of using references, and frankly, I have to look stuff up every day, because either I forget it or it's something completely new, because there's so much that goes into my skull, and then it immediately goes right out the back.
Are you actively publishing the things that you're finding for other people to be able to consult?
We try. So there's actually currently a reference that a lot of us in the zoo and wildlife world use. It's the Pathology in Zoo and Wildlife by Karen Terrio and Denise Macaluce and Linda Lowenstein. It's like the big three women within the zoo pathology field, and that's still being added to be honest. And I am going to be part of a case report of one of my cases, but in terms of like other stuff, that's going to be unfortunately, publications take a long time.
Yeah.
It is very much going to be variable based on what comes across my desk. So I don't currently have anything to be published in terms of adding yet. I'm going to be on some papers with some of our students and interns that had come through here, hopefully. So it's kind of what do people notice and what can we get off of people's desks? And because there's a chronic list of publication ideas that people have that take ages to get to.
Yeah. There is an episode of This American Life, was my favorite podcast, about like species bias in scientific journalism.
Yes.
And this guy's like an expert on wolf spiders, and he just thinks they're fascinating and they're so cool. But he goes to these conferences and he's like, people only want to talk about birds. It's all birds.
Oh my God. Yeah. I talk about that all the time when we talk about like animals that have conservation stories versus don't. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows pandas.
Yeah.
Everyone knows pandas. They're cute, they're cuddly, they're gorgeous, they're silly. But people only think about these very cute and cuddly animals, and they don't think about like stuff sometimes in their own backyard. I grew up in Rhode Island, and there is have you read Jane Goodall's book called Hope?
No.
Each chapter is a different species with a conservation story, and there is
Oh.
one chapter in particular that actually takes place in Rhode Island with my home zoo, Roger Williams Park Zoo, and it's this beetle, and a lot of people don't think about the insects that need to be preserved, and that gentleman who's like involved with that project is named Lou Perotti. He had been trying to actually help with timber rattlesnakes up in New England because timber rattlesnakes live up and down a good chunk of the East Coast, but they're kind of struggling, at least north in New England. And it's very hard for people to care about them because they're rattlesnakes. People think that they're evil, they're vilified, like snakes in general are vilified. And then if it's a danger noodle, as I like to call it, it's a little extra spicy. Spicy in the sense that, it's venomous. People are horrified by it, even though I'm like, you can't be speciesist. Like the snakes are actually very important for rodent control. I'm like, we live in New England. Like the mice are not helping with our Lyme problem right now. Like we need some rodent mitigation. But yeah, there's so much bias and even just in the studies that we do. I was initially hired here as a fellow to do help with mortality data. And that's like the big thing. So Smithsonian is one of the few institutions that actually has a pathologist on hand. Not many zoos have a whole department just of pathologists, and which is so unfortunate because so much of the data we get on these animals is through pathology. It's after the animal has passed away, especially when we're trying to see the effects as an animal ages and gets older in a human care setting versus their wild counterparts. I have helped accumulate a lot of this mortality data. Is basically just keeping a log of the deaths of animals we've had, because every animal has a medical record, every animal has a pathology record, and they are coming out more and more with studies nowadays of these morbidity and mortality studies across different species or taxa specific groups, especially when you're trying to hone in on, and again, this is where there's a lot of people rely on case reports of animals versus if you actually look back, you might actually find more cases of that situation or condition in that animal, just no one wrote on it. There was a systematic review of a lot of these more recent morbidity and mortality papers, and they found it was heavily biased towards mammals and birds, and then it progressively got worse in the amount of data as you go through your reptiles and your fish and your invertebrates.
Yeah, no one cares about the wolf spiders.
No one cares about the wolf spiders, and mind you, they scare the bejesus out of me because they're just so large. I leave the little ones be, but when I did have one that was like the size of my hand that like blocked my back doorway when I moved back to Rhode Island, moved back to New England after graduating vet school, and I was like, I forgot y'all got that big. I'm not okay.
No. Gonna make a quick product plug here. I am not getting paid. Spiders give me the heaves so bad, but I can't kill them if they're in my house, nor do I think anyone should. Ultimately, they're beneficial. But unfortunately, the bigger the spider, the more like ethically wrong it feels to just take a sandal to it. So my advice would be to get yourself a bug catcher. It's like this little grabby broom on a long handle, so you can pick up a spider or a bug or whatever it is and carry it outside, where you can release it and it can be free and live in its natural habitat and totally not get eaten by a bird immediately. This is conservation work. On the other hand, death to all mosquitoes.
The mosquito that is biting you is gonna give you something, probably. I've learned actually through ologies, there are several mosquito species and there are some that are pollinators. However, the ones that bite us are evil.
Yeah, they're the bad ones.
They really are. Honestly, if someone actually eliminated them, I think we would all do pretty well without them.
We wouldn't have like frickin' malaria.
Malaria, I mean, as someone who was the West Nile virus magnet, and also New England is Eastern equine encephalitis territory, which is actually so much worse than West Nile virus. It is much deadlier to humans, and but I believe, I can't remember if it was the same mosquito as West Nile, but they're all in the same regions. Primarily, it's It's very fatal to horses. They have a vaccine for it, along with the West Nile virus, because West Nile virus can be also very deadly for horses and camelids. So alpacas and llamas are highly susceptible as well as horses. Humans, you can get West Nile virus and you will have either general symptoms. The most severe cases will be an encephalitis as well, but that's not nearly as frequent as Eastern equine encephalitis. So but either which way, mosquitoes across the country transmit so many different things that can be highly deadly to humans and our animals. And that is where the intersection of wildlife, zoological health, and us, we had a bad West Nile virus year last year, both for across the country human-wise as well as within our collection of our birds. And we've changed all our protocols of how we do mosquito mitigation and our vaccination protocols and which of our birds especially go outside, because there's not many options to do it. But this is why it's so important to keep track of that stuff, actually.
Yeah. So obviously, like, that disease mitigation, particularly at like a zoo or in a conservation setting, is really important.
So important.
You mentioned the vaccines and like tracking all of these viruses. What other kinds of case situations do you run into just like day to day? Like, walk us through a standard case that you are doing today at the zoo.
Oh, that's so hard because every day is so different. You approach the cases, I feel like, by the species and also based on the age as well. So when it comes to, and this is stuff I've learned here at the zoo because I've only worked through a diagnostic lab setting up until I came here. So you have to look at things at an institutional level. And that's, again, where the mortality data comes into play. Like if it's a species that we don't normally have that passes away, either we have too few of them or they're very long lived, you kind of have to go back in the record and see what we've had. Versus if you have an animal that's in a big tank with multiple animals, like you might have something that's died relatively recently, you can compare. When we look at our mammals, we approach it from the very much the age standpoint. Is if it's a very old animal, many of those animals are euthanized over due to age-related changes, bad osteoarthritis or degenerative joint disease, cancer, kidney failure. Like these are old animal changes. You see it in your domestic animals, hell, you see it in people, and then we see it in these older mammals and birds. And then when you get into like your frogs and your fish, you have to look at it more from an environmental standpoint and a group standpoint versus the larger, long-lived animals, you look more as the individual.
Okay.
And on a day-to-day, it's so variable. Whether I'm on duty or not, I'm not on duty this week. So my day today is literally I come in, I check to make sure any of my slides are ready. None of my slides are ready. So I'm working on a project. I'm involved with one of our students who was previously here. I'm looking through old Komodo dragon cases to look for a very specific lesion to add to this paper because another paper referenced it and we haven't seen it referenced in these cases. But if I'm on duty, I am basically waiting for the text of, oh, someone found this animal passed away in the enclosure, or someone found a wild animal in the enclosure dead or not doing well and is bringing it up to the hospital to euthanize to come to me, or just a general heads up like, hey, this animal is coming up for an exam. It's on the older side. We might find something that we will deem quality of life concern, and we'll send it to you and we'll give you a heads up. And other times we're just like answering emails, attending meetings, talking with curators, talking with other veterinary staff, and preparing cases to get sent out to be made into slides as well. So it's honestly so highly variable. And some days I'm just spending the day literature reviewing to find something, to hopefully find an answer to whatever case I'm working on, because there are some cases where I'm like, I've never seen that before. Oh, good. No one else has either. Great. We're going deeper into the web now. Okay. I need to find someone who might know that and give them a call. Someone help me.
It's kind of like the Wild West because you are like discovering and diagnosing things that, I mean, again, you have so much source material.
And yet not enough at the same time. And that's also why I like zoo and wildlife medicine, because there's so many unanswered questions. And it's a lot of comparative work. The amount of times I've had to actually dive into human literature, actually, to see if the human side of things have diagnosed it, has not been infrequent. Let's put it that way. And it's very much there's a lot of collaborative efforts. We have 2 full-time pathologists here. We're supposed to have 3. We're waiting to hire a supervisory pathologist, but we have a team of people, and I, both a fellow and frankly the youngest of them in terms of being newly boarded, I am a baby pathologist in reality. There's so much I don't know versus our most senior person, actually, Dr. Callie Holder. She has been here for nearly a decade, and prior to her coming here, she already had a bunch of other zoological experience after doing a fellowship at San Diego Zoo, as well as during her residency at Louisiana State. So it's not invariable. I'll knock on her door being like, hey, help.
Yeah.
Help me. Or if it's an animal of like big importance, like I got to do my first cheetah autopsy back earlier this summer, and she just came into my office being like, okay, so what do you expect to see in an old cheetah? And just to make sure like I was ready and just like prime my brain for stuff I should be looking for, because there are some animals we have a lot of study on. The big cats, again, species biased, popular animal, charismatic species. We have a whole dedicated thing to what you expect to see in an old big cat in human care. We're trying to move away from the term captivity and use the word human care. So if you hear me say that instead of captivity, that is why.
Okay. Smart.
We have so much data on that because it's honestly relatively consistent at that point. Mind you, he was euthanized due to a mobility issues. He was 15. So we're like, okay, so something's up with his spinal cord, back legs, something's happening. He's not very easy to treat, and he's an old man. So for quality of life concerns, he was euthanized. But aside from looking for that main problem, you're documenting, looking for the other big changes you expect to see in a big cat. I've been deep diving into literature for his case and for other cases I've done because it's species I haven't worked with, and it's just, frankly, there's some stuff that you just don't see. And it's a joy and a curse when you're like, oh, there's an obvious reason why it went, but also no one seems to know why or has written about it.
Yeah. Like, oh, one of his organs exploded, but we don't know. We don't have any other.
Well, ironically enough, that did kind of happen with one of our ducks last year. They got West Nile virus. Its spleen broke. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it was it had reason to go.
Yeah.
But it was due to its West Nile virus because its spleen was just heavily infected with the virus, and it just lost the tissue, lost integrity, and it broke.
Oh my God.
I have seen that happen before, but it was with the cat with lymphoma. So organs, yes, indeed, can explode for a variety of reasons, turns out.
Okay. New fear. Great.
Don't get West Nile. Maintain your mosquito repellent.
Yeah. Swat those suckers.
Although I don't think it quite does that in humans.
Okay.
But nonetheless, honestly, I've probably been exposed to West Nile plenty of times. Mosquitoes love me.
I recently went out for just like a quick weekend away, and it was just very casual, and I wanted to pack light. I didn't want to bring like my whole bag of makeup and stuff. So you know what I tossed in? A little bit of concealer and my Jones Road palette.
Oh, that thing is amazing. Yeah.
It pulls so much weight in just like 3 little products on this beautiful palette. It is so simple. This makeup looks super natural. It's very low maintenance. You've got like a highlighter and then 2 sort of like blush tones that you can use in different places on your face. It's just, it pulls triple duty, honestly. This is clean makeup that actually performs. Jones Road Beauty is a minimalist makeup brand founded by makeup artist Bobbi Brown. We love Bobbi Brown. So you already have an inkling of what Jones Road brings to the table.
The quality.
Yes. These are versatile and easy to use products that will so simplify your routine. And this is clean makeup that actually performs. I was kind of blown away at how great it is.
I'm obsessed with it. I mean, I feel like it's very in right now and comes in and out of fashion so regularly to do kind of like a no makeup, like easy beauty, natural glam looks. And these products, especially that palette, are such an easy way to achieve that. Like for your sister's wedding this past weekend, I used my Jones Road palette on my eyes. I used it on my cheeks. I use it as my lip color. Like I just felt like I had this really
An
nice
eyeshadow.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I used it. I just had this really nice, like natural glowing look. And, the whole wedding was outdoors. I wanted to like look really fresh and nice for photos without having like a really intense, heavy glam. And I was actually really surprised at like how much I leaned into that beauty palette because it was just doing everything. Jones Road products enhance what makes you you rather than covering up. And it really does create that effortless, natural, no makeup look. And we're talking about this palette. It's their Miracle Balm. Okay, this is the ultimate makeup skincare hybrid product that gives a natural glow. It is so nice. It has 3 different colors that are in there. Like Lucy mentioned, you could use it as a tint, a blush, a bronzer, a highlight on the lips. I used it on my eyelids as like part of my little eye look. It will replace almost all of the products in your makeup bag in this little thin, sleek palette. Like it fits right in your purse.
Clutch.
Yeah, seriously. It gives that like your skin but better glow in under 60 seconds. And it feels like skincare. It doesn't have this like cakey buildup. I felt moisturized. I felt bright. And I was checking myself out in the mirror throughout the night. Girl,
You looked stunning.
it held up. Like I had this like dewy, soft look all throughout the night, through all the partying,
through the party bus.
through the party bus. It was incredible. Jones Road also has a full lineup of effortless skin first staples like their Just Enough tinted moisturizer. You know I love a tinted moisturizer. This is a lightweight formula that smooths an even skin tone with a soft touch of coverage. It hides redness. It looks very natural and it feels like nothing on your skin. Like it feels like you just moisturized. That's what I'm looking for out of my makeup. It's packed with skin-friendly ingredients to keep skin moisturized without clogging your pores. It really does it all.
Modern day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for effortless routines. For a limited time, our listeners are getting a free cool gloss on their first purchase when they use code GALS at checkout. Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use code GALS at checkout. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
All right, we're done.
Hey everyone, Ed Helms here.
And hi, I'm Cal Penn, and we're the hosts of Earsay, the Audible and iHeart audiobook club.
This week on the podcast, I am sitting down with Jenny Garth, host of the iHeart podcast I Choose Me, to discuss the new Audible adaptation of the timeless Jane Austen classic, Pride and Prejudice. This is not a trick question.
Okay.
There's no wrong answer. What role would I play?
You know what? I can see you as Mr. Darcy. You got a little Colin Firth.
Okay, that's really sweet.
There.
I appreciate that, but are you sure I'm not the dad? I'm not Mr. Bennett here. Listen to Earsay, the Audible and iHeart audiobook club on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, do you have cases in your head that are just like, that was fucking crazy, or that animal, like that was the weirdest animal, or are there any cases that stick out to you just because of how weird they were?
Oh, that's so...
I mean, I feel like every day at your job, something, it's
Yeah.
not normal. You don't have a normal job,
No.
in case you didn't know.
I try to explain that to people. And I also avoid telling people I'm a veterinarian at first, just because then I get all the questions, or they're like, oh, I want to bring my pet to you. I'm like, no, you don't, actually.
No.
If I see your pet, you don't want me seeing your pet. I did have a red panda case that's really throwing everyone off. So we had a red panda. Red pandas have multiple, again, it's a well-studied species. We're still learning a lot about them, but it's a well-studied species. Have you heard of Addison's disease?
Mm-mm.
Addison's basically... it's your adrenals not functioning properly. Like they get small and they get atrophied. They're no longer releasing the proper glucocorticoids and mineral corticoids you're supposed to.
Of course.
But this is actually decently well documented in red pandas. And they present like dogs with the condition, but it's the atypical form. So it's very nondescript. They basically just have low blood sugar, which could be so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's a red panda, now we kind of know if we see that, we can work towards that diagnosing. So he was diagnosed with that. He's being treated for that. He's kind of a difficult case. And then he develops ringworm, which, we see that in dogs and cats. Like, okay, he's being treated for it. He kind of becomes a very severe case, but he seems to be managed overall. And then the morning of his one of his treatments for his Addison's disease, he was found dead.
God.
And they were like completely unexpected. Like, it was heartbreaking. I got the text. I was like, oh no, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was heartbroken because our veterinarian who was working on him was just distraught. Yeah. And I gave her a hug when she arrived with him. I was like, I am so sorry. I know how much you worked on him. And his fungal skin disease went septic.
Oh.
And that is highly rare. I did a literature deep dive in the human and animal literature, and his skin disease was pretty severe as well. And you really don't find that if an animal or human is immune competent. So like, okay, he's immune compromised, but why?
Mm-hmm.
Because Addison's disease, the counterpart to Addison's is Cushing's disease. That can cause immune suppression, but he doesn't have Cushing's. He has Addison's. And we're like, this makes no sense. Why are you immune compromised? You're a 4-year-old red panda. All the cases of ringworm are usually, and death related to ringworm are usually in very young red pandas because they don't have a really good immune system. He has been a super complicated case. I'm technically still working it up. We're like, do you have a odd genetic thing that we're not aware of? Like, when you're talking about zoos especially, you have kind of small gene pools, and sometimes that can come into effect, but we honestly have no idea. So he still stumped us. We know why he died, but we don't know how he got to that level, frankly.
Yeah.
And that's going to probably be a case report, honestly. Once I finish here, I'm either going to write it or we're going to give it to a student and I'll be an author. Because I wrote the report, I finalized it, communicated with the veterinary team as we also were working with another clinical pathologist. And the difference between her and me, I'm an anatomic pathologist. I deal with big old organs. Clinical pathologists deal with tiny, tiny cells.
Okay.
His bone marrow was really weird, and it was beyond our capabilities, so we sent it off to a colleague at Virginia Tech's vet school, being like, hey, we think it's this. Can you confirm? And she's like, yeah, that's weird. And we still don't know why it was like that either. He had like a severe anemia, but his immune cell precursors were all blown up and big, and we're like, this also doesn't make sense to his presentation. Why is he like this? So he was just a constant level of questioning, and that report was very long, and my references was like, this was a whole page of the report, because it's not infrequent with very harsh cases and very difficult cases. When you do literature review, we'll put the sources in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer it is, it usually means the more difficult the case was.
Yeah, you have to phone many friends to figure out.
Oh, we did, and we still are. That case, we try to have a turnaround time of like 30 days. That case took me like 3 months to finish because we were waiting on people to get back to us. We were doing literature review. We were trying to just formulate the argument of how we could get here. But it was still a matter of what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a case that sticks in my skull for a long time. And we still might not even fully figure out what happened. He might just be the perfect hot mess express animal.
Yeah.
That's probably the most recent case, I think, that was of that caliber.
Yeah. So you said you try to do that in under 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just keep the animal corpse and do you have like a morgue? Do you have like the cold drawers and stuff?
We don't. So that's very much a human thing, because the difference, so I would say, when you talk about human pathologists versus veterinary pathologists, the human side of things is very much forensic based.
Yes.
There's a lot more legality to it. There's a lot more crime involved versus veterinary pathology. It's very much a very different scenario, and how we handle animal bodies, to be frank. Because humans, you're usually sending it back to whoever's family it is to bury. But for us, it's highly variable based on the animal. So when I was at UConn, because we dealt a lot with people's pets, we would have them designate if they wanted it sent to a crematorium system, because many of us don't do cosmetic things. The procedure is not cosmetic. Like for humans, you don't take off the head. For animals, we take off the head, and to take out the brain usually, especially for a larger animal. And that's just anatomy, and just because people will be like, can you do a cosmetic one? I'm like, do you want me to do my job or not? Because unfortunately, that's just not you're very limited on a cosmetic one. But
it's not taxidermy.
No.
You're cutting it up.
Indeed. And we can be as precise as taxidermy at times, but that's usually very specific cases for very specific reasons, especially here at Smithsonian, because there have been animals, at least in the past, not since I've been here, but animals in the past who have gone to the Natural History Museum.
Mm.
And we've been able to do that. But that's for very specific animals. So a lot of the animals, unfortunately, do go in a bag to then go to an incinerator. Some animals, like black-footed ferrets, their bodies go back to Wyoming to U.S. Fish and Wildlife for cloning purposes.
Cloning.
Yeah, because a lot of the black-footed ferrets, because of the limited gene pool, are cloned. So whenever an adult black-footed ferret dies, we do the necropsy. They don't limit us in how we do the necropsy, but the carcass itself goes back to them.
Whoa.
So we have a whole freezer dedicated just to specific carcasses that need to be stored for whatever reason, whether it's for the species itself as part of their species survival plan, someone's study. They're like, hey, we need this. One of our orangutans passed away this year, and the day he died, they got approved to do a study on the musculoskeletal limb structure of his legs. So we saved his legs.
Cool.
For a study, and it's honestly highly variable. Also, who owns the animal, too, because sometimes you have to send it back to whoever owns the animal, because not every animal at the zoo is necessarily owned by us. We take care of it, we treat it, we raise it as our own, if you will, but not everyone belongs to us legally.
It's like you're leasing.
More or less. I mean, that's what the pandas are.
Who owns the pandas?
China.
In 1941, China started a panda gifting program as a tool for diplomacy and also in the spirit of conservation. In April 1972, Mao Zedong sent a couple of giant pandas to Richard Nixon, and they were donated to the National Zoo. And people went ballistic. More than 20,000 people showed up to see the pandas on their first day on display. Then the British got jealous and went to China and asked China for their own set of pandas, which they got. And those pandas were the inspiration for the World Wildlife Fund logo, the little panda logo. Also, that one panda owned by Mexico, her name is Shinshin, which means new in Chinese. Her parents, Pepe and Ying Ying, were gifted to Mexico in 1975, and the Chapultepec Zoo in Mexico was the first institution outside of China to successfully breed giant pandas. So they think this is maybe because the altitude of Mexico City is very close to that of Sichuan, which is where giant pandas live in the wild. And that is why Shinshin is technically a citizen of Mexico. In 1984, China changed their gifting policy to be more of a long-term lease to the tune of $1 million per year for 10 years. They also changed the rules after Shinshin was born in Mexico that any panda born in another country was still property of the People's Republic of China.
And that's why we sent back the other two back in 2023. The contract was over. They were old. They had done their time. They had done their breeding. They had their babies. And they went home. And then we got a new pair. And then when they get old, granted, they don't pass away in that span of time.
Speaking of animals dying and the ownership of the corpses, I am glad to know that the Smithsonian and its employees understand the value of some good bones. Waste not, as they say.
We'll save some animals for teaching purposes too, like the skeletal structure. Like I have a tiger skull in my office, so there's like skulls everywhere in this building because people will be like, hey, we should actually save this animal for teaching purposes. One of our old elephants from a couple years ago before my time, she was euthanized at like 70-something years old due to her severe osteoarthritis. Oh. And they saved her legs to send off to our museum supply center that has the beetles to take off that, because trying to dissect out elephant legs is honestly an endeavor. So let the beetles do it.
Oh, the beetle, like a dermestid beetles.
Yeah, correct.
Oh.
And that way we can use their legs as like teaching purposes, because we do a lot of events here at the zoo, which is really nice. I've shown kids like an elephant femur. It's only as tall as me.
I bet it weighs so much.
Honestly, it's like 30 pounds. I can lift. I got it.
Crazy. Oh my God, you have access to so many fun facts.
It's honestly a lot of stuff I've just learned here. I've learned so much here because when you're being taught as a veterinarian, you don't learn a lot about like zoology or anything like that. Some people think I know so much about that stuff. I'm like, oh no, that's a whole other degree and specialty. I've just learned a lot on the fly here and working with a great deal of people and doing backstage tours with our lovely curators and keepers who are just so much more filled with that knowledge than I am, that I've just absorbed it. I've done like the same tour with multiple people so many times, and yet I still learn something new every day.
Do you have anything that you can think of off the top of your head that's like, that is something that like nobody else knows, but you have had such cool access to this bizarre combination of like professions kind of?
Yeah, I mean, of course, again, it's kind of one of those things, I acquire the information, then it also goes out of my head at the same time.
You're right.
Kind of debunking how lion structure is, like, or even how big cats organize themselves, it's not infrequent. You have a group of males in lions and in cheetahs called coalitions that are just of bachelor males. So everyone talks about the prides, but you have the intermission of like when they're developing before they get their own pride, where you just have a group of brothers called a coalition.
Yeah, because they're just kind of loser virgins. They're not cool yet.
Not cool yet, indeed. But yeah, it's kind of a lot of random little bits of info. And yeah, the fact that Asian elephants are like 22 months pregnant, I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare, but bless them. I know it's a lot of baby to grow, but it makes sense.
That's like their gestation period?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. I'm glad we're limited to the 9 months, and even then, that's too much.
9.5.
Yeah, that's true.
Too much.
It's too much.
Yeah. Oh my God. You have the coolest job in the whole world. Can you speak to the Smithsonian itself? Like we mentioned the conservation, and then you brought up the language about human raised versus the captivity thing, which I think is words are so important. And I think that's a very useful way to sort of deprogram people from assuming that zoos are exploitative to animals. Of course, some of them are. But I mean, you guys are, it sounds like you're doing it right. So yeah, what is it about the Smithsonian Zoo that really sets it apart and makes it such a gold standard?
So that's where the discussion about zoos really comes into play, because you do need to sort out accredited versus non-accredited zoos. So there's an organization called the AZA, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. There's another organization too, but I'm going to focus mainly on AZA because that's what we are. AZA accredits these zoos, and it has to keep recertifying every 7 years or so. And to maintain certification, they have to update a lot of things on their care, enclosures, just basically in general, they have to update a lot of things. I mean, we're an old zoo. We've been around for a long time, so we are an older zoo, but we've been updating a lot of things. I mean, honestly, since I've been here, there's been a lot of updates, and we're currently updating like our Africa Trail as we speak. That's why it's closed down. And I think that's what helps separate Smithsonian from like the zoos that give negative connotation. Mm-hmm. And that's where we really, the delineation of like when you see an accredited zoo by an organization like the AZA versus someone who takes advantage of very lax laws and is able to keep animals that they honestly should not be keeping. And this is where zoos being open about their processes and what goes on behind the scenes is so important, because it can be very easily skewed and very much taken advantage of by people who don't think zoos should be existent in general. And in reality, zoos, and Smithsonian is one of them, that does so much work with organizations outside of ourselves that helps us contribute to conservation. We help with the Black-footed ferret reintroduction project. We help with scimitar horned oryxes, which were also extinct in the wild at one point, and we are part of that group that helped bring them back. And honestly, the list is so long that that would be another hour of us doing that. So it's very much a changing the narrative to really focus on what the bigger picture is and what zoos do. And Smithsonian does so much because it's the national zoo, and we also contribute to like our other museums. Honestly, that's probably also the big thing that separates us, not just because we're accredited, because many zoos in the country are accredited and they're getting accredited every day, and they're all fantastic facilities. But we are part of the Smithsonian institution as a whole, which is very different. One, federally funded. Two, it's part of a larger museum cohort. And we've contributed a lot of specimens to natural history, and you're able to learn from those people as well. And Museum Supply Center has a lot of other resources as well. So honestly, the fact that we're part of a larger museum system, because people forget zoos are the living museum. Zoos and aquariums are living museums, basically. They're meant to teach people. They, mind you, like when they were first made, it was questionable because you had people who took these animals from very bizarre resources. But nowadays, in the last like multiple decades, honestly, it has shifted so much towards conservation and education that if zoos and aquariums didn't exist, there's so many people who would not care about certain species. And I find it very disheartening when people are like, oh, you need to go see the animal in its natural habitat. And I'm like, that is very classist of people to say, because people don't have access to that.
No, also, a lot of animals you can't see. We went to Costa Rica, took a tour.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, there's a sloth. I'm like, fucking where? Like,
yeah. And there's so many ethics and issues also with people doing some eco tours because you need to make sure that's well accredited and standardized as well. So it's zoos and aquariums allow people to have the animal in front of them to learn because honestly, if it's not in front of them, they're not going to learn.
Yeah.
And people need things in their face. Even the show documentaries, they're great. Like David Attenborough's voice, any day of the week. But if you don't have it in front of their face, it's really hard for people to care.
Natalie, I could talk to you all day. I'm really sad that you have a job that you need to attend to. Tell the people where they can find you, also where they can get more information about the Smithsonian Zoo, all of this conservation talk we've been discussing. Where can people find more?
So for Smithsonian, there's a website. So if you look at Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, you'll find the information about the zoo, and there's usually different headings for the different conservation projects we have. We also have an Instagram page. So most Smithsonian institutions have one, and we have our own, and it really highlights what's going on at the zoo. So if you're in the DC area, you can find out about different events, but also about the different conservation projects we do get involved with that is sent out. And for me, my Instagram handle is Dead Pet Vet, so you can find me very easily that way.
Thank you, Dr. Natalie Tocco. Dr. Tocco. This was so illuminating. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about your job that I'm not at all jealous of.
No, thank you for the invite. This is a lot of fun.
What a treat. Animals are amazing, and I love when I can talk to a smart, curious human being about them. Thank you again to Dr. Natalie Tocco and your team at the Smithsonian. You are doing incredible, important work, even if they don't let you cuddle the red pandas. If you enjoyed this episode and are hungry for more, join us on Uncorked for more Spooky Lil Bitch episodes, plus a whole lot more. Head to wineandcrimepodcast.com and click on that Uncorked tab. Thank you so much for listening. Now get out there and support your local conservation efforts. See you later.